Council meeting for Tuesday, April 26, 2022. We'll call the meeting to order. Approve the council agenda. Any agenda additions or corrections?
Mayor, Council, I don't have any additions or corrections for you.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mary, second by Dave to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Invocations from Oak Heights Covenant Church. Excuse me a second. If you guys just want to come and have a chair. John, you can come right up here in the front here, please. John and Cindy. All right, they can move up. Yeah, it's fine. That's the hot seat. That's the hot seat. Cleared up there. Cindy, you can come right up here by John here. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Forsair. This evening I want to thank the City of Hutchinson for its openness and support of the various expressions of faith in our community and through this invocation time. We at Oak Heights Covenant Church regularly pray for the leaders, you at our church, and we're grateful to share in this prayer tonight. Let's pray. Creator God, in the season of spring, we thank you for the renewal that is coming to the earth all around us. We see the return of the summer birds, and we hear a delightful sound in our ears as they sing. Today, we pray also for the hardworking farmers in our area, that they'll be able to get into the fields and plow and plant to bring a harvest in the fall. This evening, I pray for your gift of renewal to be poured out upon our city council members. May they graciously hear each of the items that is before them today and make clear decisions that will continue to assist this community in its growth. May Hutchinson continue to be a city where families make their homes, where children can learn and play and grow in safety, where people in whatever stage of life find care and compassion, and where all people thrive. Now bless each council member as they carry out their work. I pray for Mary, Chad, Dave, Pat, and Mayor Gary. May they have a sense of satisfaction in the work that has been completed here tonight. Pray this in thy gracious name. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recognitions of gifts, donations, and community service to the city. Does anybody have anything tonight? All right, we do have a proclamation. Must be important. I gotta put my glasses on. Whereas on April 1st, 2022, John Munz retired from KDUC, KRP, KGLB radio after 26 years of service at the station and over 48 years in the radio industry. And whereas he began with KDUC in 1967, 76, who? And in September of 1993, he founded KRP with John Linder and eventually became the general manager of KARP and served in the role for 7 years. And whereas in 1984, he was one of 15 finalists nationwide for the Country Music Association's Small Radio Market Personality of the Year. And in 1984, he won the second place at the National CMA contest in Nashville for his concept of Ultimate Playhouse. And whereas in 1992, John was selected as Minnesota Broadcaster of the Year and was inducted into the Brown Institute Hall of Fame. And whereas twice in his career, as 2004 and 2007. He was one of 5 finalists for the nationwide McCorney Radio Award for Small Market Personality of the Year Award, radio's highest honor. And whereas, along with his work in radio, John was also a musician, band member, and was grandstand production manager at the Minnesota State Fair, and was manager of the Sunset Music Festival in Dollywood, and one of the originators of Woodstock. And whereas artists that he worked with called him Hutchinson. Artists John worked with are too numerous to list, but a few includes Garth Brooks, Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Ringo Starr, George Strait, Reba McEntire, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Alabama, Books and Dunn, and Martina McBride. Now, therefore, I, Gary Forcier, Mayor of Hutchinson, do proclaim the week of April 24th through 30th, 2022 as John Munn's Week. In the city of Hutchinson, Minnesota, in recognition of years of service John provided the community both as general manager, radio personality at KDUZ, KARP, and for his love of music, which benefit many within the Hutchinson area. John, I do have a couple videos for you.
Hey, John. Hey, Cindy. Hey, all John and Cindy's guests. This is about the 10th time I've tried to make this video, so even if it doesn't turn out, it's coming at you as is. Thank God we didn't have all this technology back when John and I worked together. I'm just not very good at it. Anyway, thank you for asking me to be part of this celebration. I really appreciate it, even if I'm wondering if my battery will wear out before my camera does. But I'm glad to be a part of it, and I'm glad to wish John well. John and I met at the Minnesota Federation of County Fairs. He was hired by them to be the MC for their talent showcase, and I was working with the fair, putting the talent together for that showcase. We met down there. We got along from the very beginning. Our personalities just sort of blended, and we just worked really well together. So when I needed an MC for the talent contest at the Minnesota State Fair, John was my first call. He accepted. He came and worked with us as the MC. I can't remember how many years. Sorry, memory fails. But shortly thereafter, my grandstand superintendent, who'd been threatening to quit for years, I finally said, go ahead, quit. And before he ever left the fairgrounds, I called John. And John agreed to be my new grandstand superintendent. That first year was stressful, to say the least. At least it was for me. It was the first year that we were completely on our own to run that whole venue. And it's a lot of details, a lot of details. But John and I made it through. We did it well. I was very proud of us. And we went on to do many, many grandstand shows after that. And looking back on it now, there are probably some memories that John would rather not think about. Missing his family was very tough. His kids were all little at that time, and they missed him terribly. The trailer we put him up in was horrible. 1 year it was covered in ants. The office was terrible. He shared it with mice. It was the bunker. There hadn't been any improvements down there in years and years and years. But he put up with it and did a great, great job for me. And we had such a great group of people back then. We had the Warlings, and we had Art, and we had Wally, and we had Rondi. And then there was Mike Bolin. I mean, I could go on for 10 minutes just telling the story about Mike Bolin and Bob Hope. But I promise to keep this short, so you will have to ask John if you're curious about that story. John, I wish you all the best. All my memories of working with you are good memories, and I hope they are for you too. You'll get used to retirement. It takes a while, but once you're used to it, you'll really enjoy it. So thank you so much again for asking me to be part of this, and I wish you all the best. And I hope you all have a good time. Thanks, and bye.
That was Karen Leach.
Congratulations, John. I wish I could be there with you and Cindy to celebrate tonight. I know you have a lot to celebrate because you've done so much to promote country music. You have an incredible voice, and your interviews are always perfect because you do your homework. You know what the answer is before you even ask the question. And not only do you give an artist a chance to promote their latest project, but you do it in a way that you're entertaining your listeners. Nobody knows the listeners better than you do. You realize 30 years ago, Jennifer, your daughter, was babysitting my little girl, Nicole, backstage. You have this amazing family, and everywhere you all go, you just make new friends. I'm really proud to be one of those. And I'm just sending my love and thanks for all that you have done for country music and for the Mandrells.
That was Louise Mandrell. Mr. Munns, I was told by Karen that I'm supposed to ask you about the Bob Hope story. Could you enlighten us, please?
I'll have to clean it up a little. Yeah, the bottom line was Mike Boland was my personal security. He's the one that coordinated everything for all the artists, and we had actually the St. Paul Police Department and a lot of the officers that were security at the fair each year, but he would coordinate all that. So the night with Bob Hope, Red Skelton was supposed to perform, but he'd taken a fall and couldn't do it, so they called in Bob Hope at the last minute. And it was literally the last minute because it's showtime and he's not there yet. And finally he came in a limo right backstage at that point. I said, we have to go, and it was in Bob Hope's later years, so he wasn't in complete control of his faculties or bodily functions, as that word. So anyway, he said, well, my other guys that are here with me, you're going to have to go bring me up on stage. Here's something. So, okay, I headed that way, and I'm getting on the edge of the stage, and the crowd's ready, and no one's around. Well, here he decided he had to go to the bathroom, and Mike had to take him into the bathroom. I couldn't find the lights, and Mr. Hope couldn't find the toilet. But they got it all done. We got him on 2 minutes later, and they got on stage. Do I have to wrestle you?
Well, little Indian leg wrestling.
I just want to really thank all of you, and obviously seeing my family in one shot. All the years, like Karen had mentioned, or somebody mentioned, they called me Hutchinson. And that was because obviously I was from Hutchinson and very happy to represent. So everything that I've done and everywhere I've gone is just kind of really, this is the exclamation point. Thank you all very much.
John, I just want to thank Cindy, Randy Redmond, Matt, and Tom. They all helped me with this. It was perfect. When I talked to Cindy, she said, I think you might make him speak. I didn't think I could ever do it, but I think I almost got you.
I'm living with my mouth.
It was weird, 'cause I thought he was coming to announce he was running for city council, so that's why.
Well, you can do that too. Well,
Thanks,
you,
John.
John, and thank all the family for coming. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, we have a resolution resolution number 15450, resolution accepting cash donations for Law Enforcement Memorial Park Fund.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to approve the resolution. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Citizens addressing the council. Just come forward and state your name and address.
Evening, Council. My name is Don DeMeyer. I reside at 864 Merrill Street. I'm here today on behalf of the JC Water Carnival. I am the Vice Commodore for the 79th Water Carnival. And I just want to call attention that on today's agenda we have the official permit requests and et cetera for this year's festivities. The event will be held from June 13th to the 19th this year. And so I know our community has been hard at work planning for this year's event. And I do want to call out a few events that we are adding this year or enhancing. One of the items will be during Music in the Park, the kickoff to our Water Carnival Week on June 13th. We are collaborating with the Music in the Park Committee. We're adding a few food vendors, other events to that day. Along with that will be our official kickoff to the medallion hunt. The first clue will be given out during that time. We'll be looking to have our candidates or our current queen and princess give the clue out, and community can disperse and try to find it. We'll also be throwing out the first pitch at a Huskies game during this week as well. And we're also adding in a cardboard boat race as well too. Some details will be coming out soon on that, but we're working with all the proper authorities on that event. We are also working on collecting a bunch of cardboard for people for that event as well too. I'm sure we'll go through a bit. While our community has also been very hard at work, we also know that this event would not be possible without the continued support of the community of Hutchinson, its businesses, its people, the city of Hutchinson itself, and its employees. So I want to say thank you for your continued support. So, thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Alrighty. Approval of minutes. We got regular meeting minutes of April 12th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Dave to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda. This will be done with one motion unless somebody pulls something off for discussion. A is approval of short-term gambling license to the Upper Midwest Alice Chalmers Club from July 27th through July 30th, 2023. Is that right? Okay. B is approval of issuing short-term gambling license to the Saturday Night Cruisers Car Club from June 1st through December 31st, 2022. C is approval of issuing temporary liquor license to the River Song Music Festival on July 15th and 16th, 2022 at Masonic West River Park. D is approval of improvement project change order letting number 3, project number 21-03, wastewater treatment facility headwork improvements. E is approval of purchasing bicycles for the Hutchinson Bicycle Fleet Project. F is approval of resolution number 15451, resolution transferring from the Community Improvement Fund to the 2013 Debt Service Fund. G is approval approve resolution number 15452, resolution amending the established income guidelines and asset limitation for seniors and disabled citizens, active duty, military reserve, or National Guard, deferred assessment, or senior reduced refuge rate. H is approval of Dairy Day celebration on June 3rd, 2022. I is approval of Hutchinson J.C. Water Carnival request. J is approval of Relay for Life event being held August 5th, 2022 at West River Park. K is approval of the 48th Annual Arts and Craft Festival to be held September 16th and 17th, 2022 on Library Square and First Avenue Southeast and Hassan Street. L is approval of letter of support for Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership application for low-income housing tax credit for North Place Apartments. M is approval of 2022 street repairs. N is approval of Pishney neighborhood pipelining. And O is claims appropriations and contract payments. Anything anybody wants pulled off?
I'd pull E off. I'd make a motion to approve the balance.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mary, motion by Chad, second by Mary to approve the balance. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So on E, my business has a bid involved with that project, so I would just like to abstain with it.
Alrighty. Entertain a motion to...
Motion to approve the purchasing of bicycles from Hutchinson Bicycle for the Hutchinson Bicycle Fleet Supply Project.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve with Chad abstaining. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Economic Development Authority year-end report. Mr. Miles.
Mayor, members of council, report for you on what the Economic Development Authority has been up to for the year 2021. So as I go through this, certainly feel free to stop me at any point and ask any questions that you might have. Just real quick, the mission of the Hutchinson EDA is really to facilitate redevelopment, and there's a lot of focus on downtown then as a result. Also work on job creation and then generally the success of manufacturing in our community. When you accomplish that, kind of like really six strategies that we look at. Number one on our list is talent development, and that's because workforce is a major issue. If you talk with manufacturers, that's the number one issue. I think it's probably the number one issue for a lot of people. Second strategy is downtown redevelopment. And then we have business retention and expansion, business incubation, business attraction, and then a new thing on the list is what they call placemaking, and I'll talk about that at the end. Those are kind of the general strategies that we use to pursue economic development in Hutchinson. So a little bit about talent development. I have to give you a little bit of information on just kind of what the situation is with labor force, because that is a major issue. You can't really overstate how big of an issue it is. So this here's a population pyramid for all of Mcleod County. And so it shows in the kind of bluish bars on the left, that's the breakdown of the population in the year 2000 in the county by each age group. So under 5 years old, 5 to 14 years old, and so forth. And then the gold bars, that's the 2020 estimate of the population in Mcleod County. So the key part to take away there's a couple different parts, is that one, there's a decline in the population in each age cohort that kind of goes down. So this group, that's the baby boomers there, and then it goes kind of downhill after that, because after baby boom, you have baby bust. That's one of the key reasons, because one of the key reasons for the current worker shortage. We just don't have enough people, period. And then the other thing to notice is that each age cohort, the number goes down. So in the year 2000, we had 2,400 people under 5 years. In 2020, it's 2,000. And that kind of carries on through most of those categories. So, I mean, we're just having less people, and that's creating a real challenge for our manufacturers. And one of the more scary things is that our manufacturers, if you go out on the shop floor, a lot of those folks, they're in the 55 to 64-year-old age cohort. They're looking at retirement sooner rather than later. And so, you know, we have this is a significant problem. I'm just going to say that. We got some things to think about. This here just shows Mcleod County labor force. So the green bars, that's in the 1990s, the decade of the 1990s. Throughout that time, we gained an average of 233 new workers in Mcleod County each year. Then in the decade of the 2000s, that's the red bars, we're gaining an average of 1 new worker per year. And then the gold bars, that's the decade of the 2010s, we're losing an average of 120 per year. So, I mean, it's going in reverse. And then now this is looking forward, 10-year projection. Here we got 2023, what we think the labor force is going to be. So total labor force in the county is about 19,000. You go forward 10 years, it's going to go down to 17,415 is what they're estimating. So today we have worker shortage. This all gets worse. I mean, we keep going down for the next 10 years, then we hit the bottom, and then we start climbing out. So workforce is going to be #1 on a lot of people's lists for a long time. This here just shows in Region 6 East, so that's a 4-county area, Mcleod, Weaver, Canby, Ohio, and Renville County. The key thing is these little dots, the black dots. Back in 2011, we had 4.7 job seekers per vacancy. In 2021, we have 0.7 job seekers per vacancy, not even one person for every open job. Here in Hutchinson, we did a little census of our manufacturers earlier this year. We've got at least 155 manufacturing jobs open right now. We don't have a body to plug into them. And that doesn't even talk about building trades, you know, plumbers and electricians and carpenters and HVAC people. It doesn't even talk about the medical field where there's huge needs. It doesn't talk about retail where there's huge needs. I went to a fast food restaurant yesterday. You couldn't even sit inside anymore because there's nobody there to wipe off the tables. You had to go to the drive-thru and then eat in the car. So this is a problem. So talent development, that's #1 on our list, I think, today and going forward for a while. So in order to address this, we're working on a couple different strategies. One of them you've heard of is working with our schools, with the Tiger Path program, because we want to get more young people aimed in the right direction. And then the second part is what can we be doing as a community to market ourselves and make ourselves a more attractive destination for young families, because people have choices. They can live anywhere they want, they can work anywhere they want. Why would they choose Hutchinson? So that's something that we need to think about going forward. With Tiger Path, I mean, without getting into it in any deep detail, really it's just, we just think that the solution of the skilled workforce shortage is right in front of us. It's our students. And it's about just getting them aimed in the direction of where the jobs actually are. In Minnesota, only 25% of all the jobs in the whole state require a 4-year degree or higher. 75%, it's 2 years, and you're fully qualified, or less than 2 years. It could be 1 year, it could be a 6-month program, and you're fully qualified. So one of the premises of Tiger Path is just to get young people going to where the jobs actually are. I think that's all I'm going to say about that. So the EDA, we're working a lot with the high school, with Bridgewater College. It's a major effort and an ongoing effort. One of the fun things is that we are seeing results. This is enrollments at the high school in career and technical education classes. So 2015, this school year, that's when Tiger Path first rolled out. And we had 377 students taking these career and technical education classes. And in this school year, we're up to 710. So I mean, we basically doubled the number of students that are taking classes in this area. So the hope is, you know, you get more kids going into the pipeline on the front end, you're going to have more coming out on the back end. Hopefully that's going to translate into more machinists, more welders, more plumbers, more electricians, all of that, which is what we desperately need. So we continue to work with the high school, and I think that will go on for years. We're just going to keep doing it. The second piece is this workforce attraction. This is an opportunity for us. And because here's a map that just shows commuting patterns for workers in Mcleod County. So long story short, there's about 6,000 people, that arrow on the left. There's 6,000 people that live outside Mcleod County that come into Mcleod County to work. Then there's another 7,000 workers that live in Mcleod County and they work in Mcleod County, so they're just here. And then here's the key part. There's 8,000 workers that live in Mcleod County, but they go somewhere else to work. And so we're thinking, okay, that's an opportunity. A lot of these folks are going to the Twin Cities. They're going to Plymouth or Anoka or wherever to go to work. Can we corral a percentage of them for the jobs that are already here? So that's something that we're thinking about. Yeah, that's something that we're thinking about. That might be an opportunity for us. And I'll probably come back a little bit more later. So talent development, that's a big chunk of what the EDA's been up to here lately. A second big piece is downtown redevelopment. And ever since I was first hired, I remember in the interview when I first got hired, what do you think of downtown? And I said, well, it's really super important. And that probably got me a job. So the reality is that downtown's the largest concentration of taxable market value in the whole community. And as the downtown grows, so the whole community goes. So we want it to look nice. We want to keep it up. It just tells people about the quality of our community. So at EDA, we have 3 programs that are designed to help promote the downtown and maintain our downtown building stock. So we have a Sirens grant program. We rolled out 9 of those last year, totaling over $22,000. There were 4 facade improvement grants, totaling 17, almost $18,000. And then we did 3 commercial rehabilitation loans, totaling $78,000. So I mean, we're just constantly investing in the downtown. One of our big projects that we kind of talked about a little bit earlier is Hutch Uptown Commons. That's the Franklin area redevelopment. So just a quick update on that. You know, this kind of rolled out in 2015 we did the downtown master plan, and then 2016 we started implementing that. So the first step was to buy the office building that used to be located there. It used to be called the old medical clinic. So we bought that and removed that. It was blight. The ceiling was falling in, I remember that. We just bought the Franklin house, and historic Hutch moved that, so now we have that other lot. And then I was just notified here a couple weeks ago, we did finally get the Fema Grant, so that's over $500,000. And the goal there would be to acquire those 3 properties in red and hopefully have those removed. So we're going to be meeting with property owners here in the next week or two, I hope, and I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see how that goes. We'll just see how it goes. So where this is going, we have a developer lined up that would do a pretty major high-level apartment project. These would be kind of more luxury apartments. This is kind of a rendition. It won't look like that, but it'll be similar to that. It'll be of that nature, I would say. And the plan that was articulated to me would be that there would be a ground level garage that you drive into on either end, park underneath, and then there would actually be 3 levels of apartments up above. Because the developer, he needs to probably get to 75 or 80 units in order to make it work budget-wise. So, you know, there'd be at least 57 one-bedroom, 18 two-bedroom, probably a few more. But that's going to put a whole bunch of people right in the downtown. That's going to add a lot of vitality to Main Street. That's just going to add a whole lot to the community. So this is, Dan Joachim and I went last week over to Delano to size up their project. They have a very similar project by the river. And so we took a picture of that. So it'd be sort of similar like that, I think. So that's where we're going. Hopefully we come to an agreement with the existing homeowners, you know, by the middle of the summer. In theory, maybe, you know, they could start construction on this thing in the fall, I hope. So we'll see. We've got some bridges to cross, but so far so good, and we'll just take it one step at a time. Another big project now that's coming up, you know, the Jorgensen Hotel has been sold to a developer. It's the same guy that owns the Cobblestone Inn. So that's going to be rolling out later on this year, actually. The initial discussions began last year, and then they finally closed on that property here just a couple weeks ago. So the developer tells me that work begins in the fall of 2022, and then this would be completed 9 months later. So maybe middle of next year, perhaps, this would open up. So this will be a 24-room upscale hotel. It'll be the nicest hotel, I think, in quite a little radius. So I mean, it'll be a real asset to the downtown. That's going to bring a lot of vitality to the downtown. And then earlier in 2021, we did the Jumpstart Downtown Business Plan Contest, and through that we identified 3 winners. So we all know about the Flying Steakhouse, Vince and Amanda, and that's going well. Winner number 2 is going to be redeveloping the gold coin and bringing that back into circulation. So that I'm hoping mid to late summer, hopefully that will get going or be open. And then the third part would be sort of an ice cream shop. When she talks about sweet rolls, it's sweet rolls of ice cream. It's not sweet rolls pastry like one would think about. So, and then this year would kind of be part of Gold Coin. They would kind of do this together. So hopefully by the end of the summer, we're seeing these actually open up. And then this one, Jumpstart Downtown, that's always a fun one because then we have an opportunity to partner with other entities in town. And you know, Vivid Image rolled out a big prize package. The Leader did. And then the radio station put forward a big chunk of advertising, as did Crow River Science. So that's what really makes these things happen, is when it's a community effort to promote our downtown and improve our downtown. And then right now, yeah, there's just quite a lot of things going on. I mean, we got Uptown Commons, we got the expansion of Midwest Industrial Tool Grinding, we got the city project, of course, with the police station, Gold Coin, the Jorgensen Hotel, 101 Park Place, and then the River House. This just shows the importance of planning. We did this year, Imagine Hutchinson Downtown Vision, and finished that up in 2013. A lot of these things came right out of this book, and that's what developers like to see. They want to know there's a plan, that we've thought this out. It really helps developers understand what direction the downtown is going, and it makes it a lot easier for them to say, yep, let's do this thing. So, yeah, I think it was a really smart move when we did this downtown plan, and a lot of the stuff comes straight out of that. Another big thing that the EDA does is business retention and expansion, and really this is just about connecting with our existing businesses. And it's really three things. I go visit them and we want to communicate our appreciation that we're grateful that they're in our community because they bring a lot. And then also to understand whatever needs that they might have so that we can help them out if possible. So when it comes to business retention and expansion, I mean, that's actually the highest impact economic development strategy and the least expensive. It's easy to do, you get a lot of bang for the buck. And the reality is that our existing companies, that's where the new jobs get created. Depending on the community, it's 60 to 90% of the new jobs. It's coming from the existing companies. So for 2021, I made 19 visits. I did 2 here in the last couple of weeks, so I think I have 9 more, and then I will have finished this round of business retention visits. And normally I do these things every 18 to 24 months. I want to be present, but I don't want to be a nuisance, so I try to find the balance there and go visit them about every year and a half or whatever it is. I mentioned it earlier, we did a census of our manufacturers just to understand how they're doing and what's going on with employment. So we surveyed 31 companies. 18 of them are growing. They've had significant employment gains, 5% or more. And the companies that I have listed here, these are the ones that are really adding jobs a lot. They're just growing fast. We had 10 of our companies that were basically staying even. Either their employment was unchanged or it might be slightly down. But the only reason for that was that they just couldn't physically find the workers, right? If they had 5 or 10 people, they would add them and then they would be even. And then there was 3 companies that were going down, and 2 of them are really small. And I think that's just natural. There's just a natural churn in the economy. So overall, most of the companies are doing extremely well. They're extremely busy. They all need more help. Case in point would be right-of-way conveyors. You know, they came to Hutchinson in 2020, started off with a little bit more than 40,000 square feet and 35 jobs. And then they added 19,000 square feet in 2021, $1.5 million project. Right-of-way conveyors, they make all these conveyor systems for companies like Amazon or for shipping companies like DHL or other ones, shippers, I can't think of them all. But, so they're in the right line of work. So when we brought them, when they came to Hutchinson, we gave them a job creation goal of add 5 jobs. And they've met that now, and then they're continuing to hire. So, I mean, they're just kind of continuously adding on people, and they're busy, very busy. Current company expansions, Midwest Industrial Tool Grinding, Upinor's expanding their floor space, and that's just internal, like the existing footprint, because they had office space that's getting converted into manufacturing space. Pride Solutions is doing a project, Stearnswood's doing a project, RD Machine is close to a project, Fire Lake Manufacturing. So we have companies expanding. Another strategy is just business incubation. So Jumpstart downtown, that would be an example of business incubation, but then also we have the Hutchinson Enterprise Center. So there's 3 companies in there. They're getting close to the end of their stay. By the end of 2023, we're going to want to move them out and get some new companies. A couple little additions that we did this past year is we connected with the Veterans Business Outreach Center, and they're establishing an office at the Enterprise Center, so that's one more service that we can provide to small companies and veteran-owned companies in particular. We continue with our partnership with the Small Business Development Center. They've got a satellite office in the Enterprise Center. And then we just kind of made a new relationship with St. Cloud State University. They've got a Master's of Business Administration program. And they can help companies because we can connect with companies that might need some expertise, something researched or something figured out, and then we can get a whole class of MBA students to work on that and help them out. So that's a terrific resource. And that's one that we hope to use more in the future. And then the final piece is business attraction. That's where the industrial park comes in. That's where marketing to community comes in. So these are just the different things that we're doing to try to attract that next business expansion. So that would be everything from maintaining a strong business retention program, and that's mostly because we want happy customers. A happy customer is your best marketing. So we want to make sure our current companies are well taken care of. And then we have our economic development website. We've got a social media presence. We're constantly building our relationship with the state of Minnesota and the Department of Employment and Economic Development. We want to build our brand for economic development as Minnesota's manufacturing city. We're being intentional about cultivating relationships with corporate site selectors, because they're the guys that, or the guys and gals that could potentially steer projects to Hutchinson. We're continuing in our membership with the Minnesota Marketing Partnership. That gets us in front of a lot of site selectors and a lot of companies. And then last year we connected with an organization called Green Scene. That's kind of a regional marketing effort, as well as Launch Minnesota, same type of thing. Mcleod County Economic Development, this is something that we've been working on for, I think it was like 2008 when we first started promoting this idea, and it took a long time, but finally we're making some progress. So in 2021, the county hired a consultant to help develop a county strategic plan for economic development. And then just in the last couple of months now, they hired Liz Danielson is going to be the economic development coordinator for the county. So she's on the job now. I met with her last Friday actually and gave her a tour of Hutchinson, and we'll be working together going forward. So she's going to help promote the county, which by default is going to help us. And then the last piece of it is something that we haven't really done before, but it's something that needs to be on the radar. It's just what they call placemaking. And this is just a recognition of the fact that, especially nowadays, people have options. They can literally live anywhere and work. They don't have to live in any particular place. So that's why it becomes more important that we roll out the amenities. Placemaking is about creating all the things that people want in a community. So that's why things like splash pads are important, and trails and parks are super important, public art is important, because people want that stuff. And if we don't supply it, someone else will. If we want to address our workforce issues, we got to have all these little attractions that people want to have. So going forward, the key issues that the Economic Development Authority is thinking about and working on, shortage of skilled workforce and workforce in general, that's the #1 issue, and probably will be the #1 issue for the next 10 years. And that's where those amenities really help. Housing is an issue now, and especially workforce housing. Industrial park space, we're okay, but we're not as okay as we could be. And then child care, that's one that I never thought I would be talking about, but that's one that's on the horizon and could be an issue going forward. So I think that's it. I want to close, and I want to say that I'm really grateful for your support. I talk with my colleagues in the economic development world, and I tell them what we're doing in Hutchinson routinely. You know, oh, we just do this, and we're doing that, we're buying this and doing that. And they're just oohing and awing. They just can't believe it, the stuff that we do. And that's like, this is just like regular stuff in Hutchinson. But they're over there going, I wish I had that level of support. I wish I could get some help, because we could be doing more in my community if the city council was supportive, or if the economic development group was supportive. We get a lot of stuff done that a lot of these other folks can only dream about. We do it every day, but that's you guys and your support and the Economic Development Authority and city staff pulling together. That's the thing that lets us get this stuff done on a regular basis and really improve the community. With that, I guess I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Tim, if you maybe touch on, you talked about a lot of times visiting with manufacturers. You know, sometimes the question or the criticism we get is, well, how come you're not talking with your retail and your, and what the strategy is behind why we do that, or why the EDA does that?
That's a great question. So the question is why the focus on manufacturing versus these other sectors? And I would say we do work with the other ones. It's more about emphasis. We think of, at the EDA, we're thinking of manufacturing as like the engine on a train. The engine pulls all the other cars, right? Manufacturing is pulling along commercial and retail and all these other things. And so we want to devote our resources to manufacturing because the best thing that we can do for retail or commercial businesses in Hutchinson is to create more high-paying manufacturing jobs because that's what creates the demand, right? If we get more manufacturing, that automatically results in a demand for more restaurants or more tire repair shops or more beauty shops or whatever. So the best thing we can do for retail, promote manufacturing. The best thing we can do for commercial type businesses, promote manufacturing. It's just really about being strategic that way. Other questions?
Miles, did you, I know it was thrown out one time that like the major manufacturers would offer daycare centers on you know, on the ground.
Yes.
Did that ever get any place or?
I think right now it's something that we're thinking about. Right now in Hutchinson, we're kind of on the border, I guess. I mean, daycare is out there as an issue. Is it really blowing up? Not quite yet. But we have had discussions with some employers, and if things get worse, then we might be going down that road. I mean, we might have to be really innovative about how do we supply daycare because that need is there. You've got to have it if you're going to have workers. That's one of the contributors to the workforce shortage is when mom or dad somebody's going to stay home and take care of the kids, right? Because there's no other option, and that keeps them out of the workforce. I know in western Minnesota, this is way bigger an issue. I mean, it's crisis. And so we're not quite that bad yet, but I think it's on the horizon, and it's certainly something that we need to be thinking about.
I know, Chad, you're probably one that has little kids in that house daycare for you guys.
Well, we're fortunate we've been at the same provider the entire time, but I know like one of the daycare centers in town was going to close and then they decided not to close. Isn't that right, then?
Yeah. So it could have blew up a couple months ago.
Right. Yes. That would kind of ugly. I know like our provider got
bigger ones.
One of the bigger ones was going to
There was like 70 kids that would have been displaced.
70 kids? Oh my gosh.
And that would have been a nightmare. But I know my friends that have infants is the big one. You know, you can find places for toddlers, but only so many infants can go per daycare, so that's the big issue around here.
Miles, it's always an interesting conversation, and you and I have had plenty of conversations with manufacturers and business owners, but the whole idea of this placemaking, because I think especially our elected body here has a lot of criticism about trails and amenities and the like, but it's a completely different story from what we hear from our business community.
Yes, that's a very key point, I guess, because I can well understand where people would be critical of you guys and say, well, why another park and why another trail and why a splash pad? The short answer is our manufacturers demand that stuff. They need to have that stuff because they need to have that so they can attract the next group of workers. They need to be able to say to the engineer or the welder or the machinist, hey, we've got a nice splash pad, we've got a nice park, we have all these amenities, Hutchinson is a nice place to live. If we can't say that, then that company can't hire that individual, and there we are. So I mean,
along with schools and
along with schools and all the other stuff. Yep, I mean, I think one of the best things we did, new high school, new elementary school, families like that stuff.
And also the safety of our community.
Yep.
Brings people to our city.
Yep.
It really does.
And it gives us a huge advantage. Well, number one, it helps our existing employers so that they can hire the people they need.
it also gives us a big edge when I'm talking with prospects. When there's companies out there that are just trying to decide, well, I can see, well, Hutchinson has this, we got this, we got this, we got this. That makes it a lot easier for them to come to Hutchinson. So, I mean, it's setting ourselves up for hopefully some big wins down the road.
Anything else for Miles?
Miles, before you step away from there, do you want to enlighten everyone as to how many of those programs in Tiger Path are we doing right now?
Like all the stuff that we're involved in?
Yes, that we're involved in.
Ooh, gosh. Well, we do a heck of a lot of stuff for Tiger Path because it's all about workforce. So, I mean, over the years, gosh, we've done umpteen different things. I mean, the EDA helped spearhead the fundraising effort to create the Center for Technical Excellence over at the school. So we did some grant writing, and then we engaged our manufacturers, and between those two efforts raised almost $1.7 million. The technical education area at the high school wouldn't look like it looks like now, but for our efforts in that area. I mean, that was a critical piece. And then, you know, I'm helping out with all kinds of things. I mean, write the parents' guide for Tiger Path, to help develop the Tiger Path website. I wrote the first grant that enabled us to hire Andrew Moore as the Tiger Path coordinator. I continue to, I mean, I'm in meetings with school people on a pretty regular basis about how do we improve Tiger Path, how do we enhance it, how do we grow it. I'll be meeting in the next couple of weeks with our tech ed teachers to say, hey, you know, we want to create or build on Tiger Manufacturing, which is a student manufacturing business. But how better to learn manufacturing than to actually do it? How better to learn business than to actually do it? So we want to build that up more and more. So I'll be meeting with those guys on that. I actually went to a one-day workshop last week on exactly that. So I mean, our involvement with Tiger Path and the school is huge. We get a lot of recognition for that, quite frankly. I mean, I get my economic development peers in the industry and just other people calling me all the time. How do you do that? How do you do that? And how do you work so closely with your school and with your chamber? Oh, I don't know, it's kind of a Hutchinson thing, I guess. We just do it.
Maybe
so,
we
yeah,
should charge a fee for that. It sounds like
I think for the amount of visits we've had to give and for the amount of times we had to go talk each
tours and, I mean, senators showing up and Congress people showing up, it just goes on and on. But that's good, more recognition for Hutchinson.
Well, thank you for doing that. I don't think some of the public knows how much the EDA is involved with Tiger Path and everything that is being done. So
I think, yeah, I mean, we always say, well, you know, we do the stuff that most people think just happens, right? It's, oh, there's a magical project. Oh, no, there's somebody behind the scenes working on that, but that's what we do. Well, I want to thank you for your support. We couldn't do it without you.
Okay, thanks, Miles.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Don't have any unfinished business, new business, setting joint meeting with the Mcleod County Board of Commissioners on May 9th, 2022 at 3 p.m. at Mcleod County Fairgrounds Commercial Building.
Yep, Mayor and Council, there are a couple items that the county board would like to have a conversation with the city about. I noted them in your council packet. It includes the Northeast Ring Road, the 115 Jefferson Street roundabout, and then just our Sirens Lakes River Basin Improvement Project. So we're anticipating probably an hour and a half to 2 hours at the fairgrounds.
I'll make a motion to set that meeting.
I'll second.
Motion by Chad, second by Mary to set the meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Governance, we have the snow removal report for 2021 through 2022. The City of Hutchinson financial report, investment report for March of 2022. Public Arts Commission minutes from March 9th, 2022. Hutchinson Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board minutes from March 15th, 2022. Chief Gifferson.
Yes, sir.
Talk about our little siren burps out there.
Sure. So good evening. Mayor asked me just to speak a little bit about some recent testing that we're doing on our civil defense sirens. Just because of the time of the year and it's kind of some of the crummy weather we've had lately, we thought it'd be best to maybe give a little bit of a warning that we're going to be testing them out of sync, so to speak, so not just the first Wednesday of the month. So if you notice that your regional, or excuse me, your neighborhood siren happens to be spinning and not making noise, or spinning and then making a little bit of a noise, that's just us doing some testing.
They're possessed.
Yeah. So we put something out on our Facebook page, and apparently it was picked up by Real Life in Hutchinson as well. But so just so everybody's aware, that's what it's. Oh.
This morning.
No, rude. That Hutchinson was testing their sirens.
Oh. Slow news day. Newsworthy stuff. Slow news day. But that's really all it amounted to. If there's any questions regarding that, I'd be more than happy to answer them, but that's probably the best explanation I can give.
Anything else, Chief?
No, I don't think so. Unless somebody else has a question regarding anything else, that'd be it for me.
Thank you.
You get a download of where your traffic traps are going to be at?
Come again?
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
No.
Your patrolmen are out on the road quite often, and
that's what we get paid to do. So.
Right, and they do well. That's
all right,
Chief.
Thank you.
Lynn, do you have anything else for us?
Yeah, totally.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have just a couple updates. All of our parks will officially open for the summer, May 2nd, meaning the bathrooms will be open for the public to use. And then our campground opens May 6th, so reservations are still being taken online, but campers actually start rolling in on May 6th. So that's coming up quick. And then there is a walk and bike to school event coming up on Wednesday, May 4th. So the Bike and Pedestrian Committee's been working on it along with Mayor Forcier. You'll be there. Police Chief Gifferson will be there. The Fire Chief Schumann, and then also Hutchinson Health President Jim Lyons will all be participating in this event. So it's Wednesday, May 4th, which is a late start date. They're starting at 10 a.m., taking place at Park Elementary. Are you going to talk about this?
I want you to know that they gave me the long route again. The old guy had to walk the front of this. What the heck?
Well, good. So if you want to join him, take the long route to Park Elementary that morning.
Bike from Chad.
So you can check out the PRCE Facebook page. We have the routes posted on there, or for more information, you can call too. So again, Wednesday, May 4th, starting at 10 a.m. There's 3 different routes to get to the school that day. And then summer pool passes will be available for this public to start getting May 1st. You can purchase them at the rec center. And then the pool will open Wednesday, June 1st. That's the hard date for opening. We might potentially do a soft opening if we can, depending on staffing availability. What was that?
And weather.
And weather, yeah. That leads me into my next thing. Due to the seasonably cool temperatures, we haven't been able to put the Library Square fountain on yet. Usually it'd be up and running by now. But staff is working very diligently to get it up and running for prom this weekend. So all those high school prom goers will be very happy that the fountain will be running by this weekend.
And the fountain is not a wading pool?
It is not a wading pool. It is a fountain. I hope no one jumps in this weekend because it's still going to be pretty chilly. But that's all I have.
So this summer, are all the bathrooms and all the parks going to be open? Because like in the last 2 years, haven't they been kind of alternated?
Yes, we did go, or 2020, not any of them were open, and then 2021 we had a limited number. This year they'll all be open.
Sure.
Yep, back to normal. Good.
Great. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
John, do you have anything for us?
I want to talk about the alleys a little bit. We've only been able to get into them one time so far this year. It's kind of hard to grade frozen alleys, so we've struggled a little bit in that department. We've also had to push off our hydrant flushing, which is something that's usually going by now in a typical year. So we'll get that going fairly soon. Street sweeping, we've been through pretty much the entire city once, so we're starting over on some of the busier areas. The other thing that cold weather has created is a little bit of a challenge. Nobody's making blacktop yet, so we're doing what patching we can with different mixes that cost a little bit more, so we're a little bit more judicious with it. Once we get some blacktop plants open, we'll be able to hit it a little harder. And yeah, that's about it. We still have been encountering frost in certain areas, and in particular around some drainage structures. So, you know, it's still out there, but hopefully we'll be gone soon.
Come on, John, by farmers' wise tales. Once you have a thunderstorm, the frost is
right,
gone,
yeah.
right?
Well, yeah. They didn't have a soil probe, obviously. So, but anyway, just unseasonably cool this spring, obviously, and it's just pushing things back a little bit. We're anticipating things to just blow up real fast when weather does turn. So. All right.
We'll be talking mosquitoes before you know it.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Thanks, John. Tim, do you have anything for us?
I got nothing.
All righty. Mr. Kent.
Yes, sir. A couple of project items. Down by the rec center, 2022 pavement management program project has started the last few days here. So removing trees, reclaiming, doing concrete removals. I think they're starting to reclaiming tomorrow, actually. And yeah, underway. So some nuances with respect to some cul-de-sacs off of Sunset and some access issues. So staff has been fielding calls on that front and addressing concerns and thoughts the last few days. So getting people up to speed that missed our letters and such along the way. But anyways, no, we'll get people educated and keep pushing along. Yeah, the north end of Sunset is being addressed here in the first phase, along with the block of Key Street that we're addressing north of South Grade Road. And the other item, letting number 2, our mill and overlay project this year, Century, from Dale on the west end to Boston Street, the runnings access, I guess, per se. On the east end, we did order the public hearing at the last council meeting, so that will be at the upcoming council meeting, albeit we are working through some plan approval process, I guess, with MnDOT and with respect to utilizing state aid dollars, so we'll be talking about that with administration and finance at our upcoming resource allocation committee meeting, and seeing how our funding looks going into that project. So we'll do the public hearing, but the project is by no means a given at this point. So just wanted to mention that we are going to administer an open house meeting. We have a limited number of properties that we're assessing on that corridor due to the size of the properties, and you know, there's apartment buildings, facilities, you know, the movie theater, the fairgrounds for that matter and such. So, you know, in general, larger properties, so there's only 20 or so accessible properties there, but we'll try to touch base with those people next week prior to the public hearing. And with that said, even at a mill and overlay assessment rate, the assessments being assigned to those properties are fairly sizable. You know, there's generally about 10, 12 of them that are $15,000, give or take. So we'll see what we hear on that front. That's it.
Great, thanks, Ken. Mr. Sabor?
Nothing else tonight.
Mary, I'll start with you.
I don't have anything.
Oh, Chad?
I don't have anything else either.
Mr. May?
Nothing.
Dave?
All quiet on the western front.
I don't have anything either, so.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Just, I would say something, Mayor. That is, when they had the hard goods pickup, I know that message came across on the water and sewer bills. So I had a few questions on it, not a lot, but a few. But I don't know if people are paying their bills by credit card or whatever, or taking out their checkbooks or whatever, or checking accounts. But some of those people probably are not aware of, even though it comes on the messaging of the water and sewer bill. So just, they probably never even look at them because they pay them another way besides writing a check. So just to be aware that there's messages on there, and I think there's more coming up as time will go on.
Yeah, and I will say we put it out on social media. I usually put a plug in on the radio, and we've got it listed on our website year round on when that is. There'll be another one in, I think, late September, early October.
So it's in the newspaper.
Yeah. So
I would guess the Park and Rec book.
They do a great job. I mean, they really do a good job.
Yeah, we always miss a couple, and I think there's a couple streets that got missed because I think there's construction, and we'll get a list together that will go back. But.
No, there's no construction on my road, and they missed my street.
It happens. Well, it was because it was the mayor's street.
Yeah,
so I told him to skip that one. So
special favors for you, Gary.
I know, but Angie lives there too, and usually they're nice to her.
She's so nice.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, there's guilt by association. So.
I did feel bad for the guys Saturday morning during that thunderstorm.
Oh my God.
Right in front of our house when it started coming down, and they looked miserable.
Yeah, riding up in the front of the truck.
Yeah.
The only thing I had was, of course, I had a guy stop and talk to me about the roundabouts. He wasn't complaining about them, but he thought that we should try to inform people how to drive around them, use them. But I kind of laughed because I said, you know, we were sitting in the council chambers and this happened. I glanced up at the TV and it was on.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we can, what more we can do to get it out, to have, you know, to educate people how to use roundabouts.
I'm at a loss. They've been around a couple decades now. I mean, if people don't understand how to navigate a roundabout, they probably shouldn't be behind the vehicle of an automobile, quite frankly.
You said that out loud.
We were all thinking it, you just said it, Kim.
Have some general awareness of your community and what's going on. You know, like missing out on the white goods thing or not knowing how a roundabout works. Like, you do have to be present.
Yeah. Do we still have links, I think, on your... Isn't the Public Works page, isn't there a link on roundabouts? And like I said, I know Local Access has played some stuff. We posted stuff on social media. There's resources out there for people too, so.
I think the issue is it's not the people that are bringing it forward.
Right. Yeah, understandable.
Maybe aren't navigating them properly or with hesitation is usually the case. It's not necessarily properly, but they're just performing a little poorly as they navigate them. You know, those people aren't seeking information to educate themselves.
No.
So that's the
probably
obvious
deeper problem, Kent, with those people. You know, that's not going to be fixed with an email.
They probably think they're doing it right.
Yeah. I mean, Matt does smile because he did have somebody call him and say, I can't get around the one by Catchwise without driving over the top of it. It's a mountable roundabout, so it's all right if you drive over the top of it, you know. But
must be driving an 18-wheeler.
Tandem trailer.
Yeah. Oh, that's, geez, I always bring up something that. Okay, I'm done for tonight then.
You aren't.
So do we need to make a motion to go to a closed session now? Or?
You got instructions there, Gary? So.
Alrighty, next item on the agenda is to close the session to review confidential project non-public appraisal date of real estate property identified as 1025 Highway 15 South, that's the event center, 10 Franklin Street Southwest, that's the police station, and 44 Washington Avenue West, that's the EOC building. Now I would entertain a motion to go into closed session to review confidential, protected, non-public appraisal data of real estate property as described.
So moved.
Motion by Pat.
Second.
Second by Mary to go into closed session to review confidential or protected non-public appraisal data. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.